In the same way, people who take certain psychedelic substances like cannabis or ayahuasca or mushrooms, what's really happening is a crystal is coming in from one of those substances and passing through the blood-brain barrier, and that crystal, as long as it still holds that vibrational frequency, it's changing the way that your brain is vibrating and allowing an entirely different level of information to come in, at least for whatever, a few minutes if it's DMT, or a few hours if it's psilocybin, or a longer period if it's ayahuasca. But it's bringing in a huge amount of higher level vibrational information than your ego would allow in otherwise. Now, the problem with trying to get the information that way is this, and I think Terence McKenna is our example, unfortunately. And I think McKenna's error was this. He didn't do any meditation or purification of the soul. Instead of that, he went right into taking the substances. And when he was on these massive doses of psilocybin, he was still in an ego state, trying to deal with this information and energy that was way too overwhelming for him. And so what happens when you get information that you are not ready to integrate or deal with, you have to block it. And the soul first tries to block it on a software level with the sensor. But when you're under massive doses of psilocybin, that isn't going to work anymore. Your sensor is gone. You know, you have no internal, subtle ways of defending yourself against an overdose of truth. And so although truth heals, it can also kill. And I believe that he got his brain tumor because that was the only way he could block the amount of information that was coming to him in his brain through through taking this dose that created very high-level crystalline vibrations that were bringing in, because the brain is a transceiver, information that he was now attuned to that his ego could not tolerate and could not digest, could not receive, had to reject, and it had to literally block it physically with a tumor. This is one of the dangers and why I don't recommend taking those kinds of substances until at least one has been prepared through purification practices that are natural, because all that these substances are doing are mimicking crystals that are produced endogenously by the brain itself. That's why they work. If your brain didn't produce those chemicals when you are in higher meditative states, then these substances would not have any effect on you. But what they do is fool the brain into thinking that you have reached a high meditative state, and now you're tuning to these higher frequency levels of information and you're ready to receive them. But if you're not, because the brain got tuned but the ego didn't, then there's going to be a glitch, and the system is not going to function accurately, and it will be dealt with karmically. Okay, so that's just a cautionary tale, but I think it's useful to us to understand that this principle operates whether one is taking in exogenously substances, or even if just one is in an energy field that has too high a vibrational frequency for you to deal with. And that's why a lot of visitors who come here get sick, and they can't even come to classes. They'll have headaches, they'll have stomach aches, they'll have all kinds of physical symptoms because they could not take the shock of a differential vibrational frequency level than what they were used to. And if it gets raised too high, then people run away screaming and never want to come back. So that's why we have to modulate how we present vibrationally who we are and what we're doing, and why certain kinds of teachings have to be kept to those who are prepared for them.